one teacher said to me, "You should never learn technique. It will destroy your creativity." Well, it's rather like saying, "I want to be a concert pianist and I mustn't learn the techniques of piano." That is not stupid.
Right. So
I thought this is just nonsense.
but then you still continued in your own way how to do it the best way you can.
Yes.
Right.
When I was at art school, they had a chap from the National Gallery who was a chief restorer,
Mm-hmm.
and he came and gave 3 lectures on how to paint like the Renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody
Mm-hmm.
said, "God, how old-fashioned, how boring, how stupid," and they took no notice except me. I wanted to know what he said. And I thought, right, this is what I want to know. He gave 3 lectures, and each lecture he would paint the first lot, and then next week when it was dry, he'd paint the next layer, and then the third layer. And I saw how it worked. And I thought, this is what I want to know.
Because
And then I went and copied. I got permission to copy in the National Gallery, and was told by the slave that I shouldn't do it. It would ruin me as a contemporary painter, but I did it. And every time I was there, every week, this very polite gentleman would suddenly appear behind me and say, "Why don't you try this? You'll find it works." And it did. And I spent 6 years copying there, and came out knowing how the whole National Gallery was made.
wow.
And I knew how it worked. Everybody said it's crazy. He said, "Rosie, you're so old-fashioned. It'll ruin you as a contemporary painter." Yes, I was called up before the head of the slave. "You mustn't do this. It'll ruin you as a contemporary painter."
Mm.
Well, I'm obviously ruined.
But this is the ruins, and it doesn't look anything like
Obviously
ruins.
ruined. They've been broadcast all over the world. The whole thing is nonsense.
Right. So there's this thing about the National Gallery.
Yeah.
And this question I just want to know. You had transitioned from being depressed.
Yeah.
You've gone from being a despondent student into a happy, zealous student
Yeah.
who was striding around with a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And in the author's word, Miss Lane, it says it made everyone who knew you worried.
Yeah.
What was that?
Because I wasn't being fashionable.
So the fact that was it to do with the time of
It was the type of painting that was being done 200 years before.
right, and that was going to make people who knew you well worried.
They were worried. They thought it would destroy me as a real artist.
Oh, but then obviously they were wrong.
Well, I know they were wrong.
So
I mean, and actually, I mean, the fashion for being stupid about art, when Tracy Emin wrote the name of all the people she'd ever slept with on her bed, and then gave it to the Tate.
yeah,
You call that art?
well, that in her estimation is art.
I mean, that was fashion, you see.
Ah,
She wanted to be fashionable and be rich.
right. But sometimes people get rich and fashionable for all the wrong reasons.
Well,
And I think this was a typical one.
That's nonsense.
So
And I say to my young artists, you won't know if you succeeded until over 100 years after you're dead, and then you'll be dead anyway, so you won't know.
see, that is very interesting because we was just talking about this today. How people being alive
Yeah.
are not celebrated,
No.
and that society sort of likes to celebrate controversies like negativity.
Oh, I know all that stuff. Yeah.
And you have kept yourself well so far up
I
to this
wanted
point.
to paint beauty
Yes.
and light and things which inspired people, and I've devoted my life to doing it.
And you've done it so perfectly.
Well, I keep trying.
I am amazed by what you do. It's just unique, so nothing I've ever come across.
Well, it seems to be very popular now. I don't quite know why.